Namaskar to all my dear students. Hope you're watching this video in the best of your health. Now this is our third session of e-learning classes for science. So let's start the session. Now in today's session, we will cover the topics interdependence between plants and animals, balance in nature. Now before we start with our topics, let us understand what is dependence. Dependence means the state of needing something or somebody. Dependence also means the state of being relying upon another. It is the situation when one needs something or someone all the time, especially in order to continue existing. Now let us understand the term interdependence. As the term itself is showing, here inter means between and dependence means the same, that is state of being relying on something or someone. That means in interdependence there is mutual dependence between things, that is they have a give and take relation, there is a give and take relation between the things. Understand this dependence by taking an example within a house, that is the closed boundaries. Now here we have a girl Gia. She is 7 years old and she has a mother. Now mother is doing few things for Gia, that is mother helps Gia to cook her food, that is mother actually cooks the food for Gia. Mother washes her clothes also. Mother helps Gia in her studies and in many other activities like taking her out for outing, etc. Now in this case we have a relation of dependence, that is Gia is dependent on mama, that is her mother, that is mother is giving something and Gia is taking. Was about dependence. Now let us take another example of interdependence. In this case again we have the same girl Gia who is 7 years old, and now here we have her grandma. Now grandma is 72 years old. This time we are taking the example of interdependence, that is grandma is giving something to Gia which Gia is taking, and Gia is also giving something to grandma which grandma is taking. Now let us know something more about them both. Both Gia and grandma, they have some common things to share, that is both of them do not like to sleep in the afternoon. Both of them do like to talk a lot. Both of them like to share their experiences. For example, Gia shares her experiences of the school classes while her grandma shares the experiences of her past life, telling her so many stories. This example of interdependence, let us understand what Gia takes and grandma gives. Basically, grandma tells a number of stories to Gia, and Gia is very fond of these stories. She likes them more than any cartoon or any game. Now, grandma tells 2 stories to Gia in the afternoon, while 3 stories at night before sleeping, which Gia is enjoying very much. Now let us understand what grandma takes and Gia gives. Since grandma is a lady who is 72 years old, she is not as active as Gia is. So grandma dependent upon Gia on for doing number of small tasks, like at times grandma may ask Gia to bring her a glass of water, to change the TV channel by using the remote, as grandma is not that gadget friendly. Grandma may also tell her to make a phone call to any of her relatives, to play a video, or to click a picture using her smartphone, as grandma is not that smartphone friendly as Gia is. Grandma may also take the help of Gia to switch on or off the lights or fans as and when required. So now, after knowing these things, we can say that there is an interdependence between Gia and grandma, that is, they have a relationship of give and take. Now let us move outside the boundaries of the house in the outside world and understand again this interdependence by taking another example. Now here we are taking example of us as consumers and the shops which are there in the market. Here also there is an interdependence, that is a relation of give and take between us and the shops. Why? Because shops gives us something which we take, and in return we also give something to shops which the shops are taking. Now let us understand what we take and shops give. Shops give us many items. For example, we take vegetables from greengrocers, other grocery items from the grocery shop, which may include pulses, food grains, etc., other eatable items. We also get clothes to wear from the shops and many other things like jewelry, shoes, etc. So these are the things which we take and shops give. Now let us understand what the shops or shopkeepers take and we give. Basically, we give them money in return of all the items which we are taking, which and now this money is utilized by them for various other purposes. Now let us widen our vision and move towards the nature as a whole. Now when we are looking at nature as a whole, we know that we have sun and we know that there are plants. Now here again we are taking the example of dependence, that is between the sun and the plants. Now there is something which sun gives and the plants are taking. What is it? It is sunlight. Sun gives sunlight to the plants which they are utilizing for the process of photosynthesis, that is to make their food. Now here is dependence only because plants are not giving anything to the sun. Are they giving anything to the sun? Now this is your question to answer. Do plants give something to the sun in return? Well, actually they do not, or they cannot. Now they are just taking the sunlight from the sun which sun is giving. So this is dependence in nature. Now let us understand the example of interdependence between plants and animals in nature. This is the example of interdependence. How? Let us understand. Plants and animals are dependent on each other for their survival. That is, how plants prepare their food with the help of carbon dioxide. Through the process of photosynthesis, this gas is released by the animals while respirating. Animals need oxygen and food from the plants for their survival. This is called interdependence. Now let us look at this picture carefully. Here we have the tree, the sun which is giving the sunlight. After receiving the sunlight through the process of photosynthesis, the plants are producing food and releasing oxygen. Both these are consumed by animals, and while respiration, animals are releasing carbon dioxide which is utilized by plants. So this picture is showing interdependence between plants and animals in nature. Move on to our next topic, that is balance in nature. Now again, before starting this topic, we should know what is the meaning of balance. What is the meaning of balance? Basically, balance means stability. That is, balance means to have right amount, not too much or too little of any quantity, which leads to harmony or evenness. Means we should have the quantities in equal proportion. Now let us understand what is balance in nature. A balance between the number of plants and animals in nature is very important. If there is an increase in the number of animals, the plants may not be able to supply enough food and oxygen to all. Similarly, if there is an increase in the number of plants, the carbon dioxide supplied by the animals may not be enough for the plants. Now, there is a word just opposite of balance known as imbalance. Now let us understand this imbalance first. Now we had taken the example of the girl Jia, who is 7 years old, and she was having her grandma. They were enjoying a relation of interdependence. Now one fine day what happens that two sisters of grandma arrives at Jia's house, and now all the three grandmas, that is the real grandma of Jia, her sister 1 and sister 2, they are living there along with Jia. Now here what happens, an imbalance is created. Now see how. Earlier grandma was telling 5 stories to Jia, which Jia was enjoying very much. Now these grandma sister 1 also trying to narrate stories to Jia. Grandma sister 2 also tries to narrate stories to Jia. Now Jia has to listen 15 stories in a day, which is more than enough for her. She is not that fond of stories. Again, in return, all the three are expecting Jia to do the small tasks which Jia was earlier doing for her grandma only. That is, a glass of water, maybe change of TV channel, use of smartphone. Now earlier, these small tasks Jia was doing with pleasure for her grandma. But this time, because the number of tasks has increased, this has created a burden on Jia. Now she is no more enjoying while doing this task. In fact, she has become overburdened and frustrated. Now this is called imbalance. Now this kind of imbalance we need to avoid in nature, and for that we need to maintain the balance in nature. That is, we need to maintain the number of animals as well as the number of plants. For this, we have many wild reserves and wildlife sanctuaries which protect our wild animals. For protecting animals and for protecting plants, we have many programs like Van Mahotsav Festival promote planting of trees. They spread awareness among the people about the ill effects of cutting down of trees. That is, we should not cut down the trees. They are so precious to us. Now, to continue life on earth, balance in nature should be maintained. That is, the proportion between animals and plants should be maintained. So, hope you are now able to understand this topic, balance in nature, completely. So, this is all about today's session. Hope you are able to understand all the topics discussed. Now, the worksheet regarding this video will be sent along with this video. If you have the books, then you will be doing it in the book only. If you do not have the book, then you will be doing in any of the copy which you were using for doing your earlier worksheets. Now we'll be talking in the next session. Till then, stay blessed, stay healthy, take care, bye.